Okay, if you made it this far, thank you. This is the cons of cruising Norwegian or cruising Norwegian Prima. If you didn't see the pros, definitely go back and check it. It's in the feed. And this is more about the cons of cruising kind of overall. Now, this was our third Norwegian cruise, but it had been many years. It had been 10 years since we cruised Norwegian. A lot had changed with cruising Norwegian. This is also different timing that we now have kids, so it's a different perspective of it. The cons overall, the ship was beautiful, but the ship was very small, lots of small spaces. We traveled with a group of 10 and it was nearly impossible to do much of anything. You couldn't get seats anywhere. Even getting reservations was a big pain. And we cruised in a suite. So we had a concierge, we had a butler, like we had all the things. And it was still a struggle to even just get a reservation for 10 anywhere. They do not accommodate large groups, in my opinion. We were told that we could not make reservations for large groups before we got on the ship. And so when we got on the ship, trying to make reservations for a large party was very difficult. And they don't just, oh, you walk up, I have 10, let me slide some tables together. It's a very American thing, I guess. They don't do that. They only have tables set for certain numbers and that's it. So if there is a table that is set, they do have tables of 10, yes, not very many. And if it's already been full or booked or reserved or whatever, then you're just kind of SOL in my opinion. They did end up accommodating us, but it was just like painful to do it anyways. It was a long, lengthy process of back and forth. The spaces were very small, so even trying to get into spaces as a group of 10 was difficult. Even as a main dining, which they do the free at sea, like it's supposed to be, you don't have to have a set dining time, but let me tell you, if you have a large group, you have to make a reservation even for the main dining. It was just frustrating. And it was like that in most of the spaces. But the food was great. I will say the food was great. We had a great time at the specialty restaurants. Definitely try the Hazuki. Hibachi was great. So, okay, another downside. I do not like that everything is very paper. Oh my Lord, the amount of paper that we were given in our rooms on a daily basis just drove me insane. You did not get the itinerary until like the night before as to what the activities were. When, I compare that to Royal, everything's on the app, everything 30 days before. So that was just kind of frustrating as going day by day trying to figure out what it is that they had. It was not very family friendly. They were very limited as to any activities that really had to do with kids. Like probably the main one was doing origami. They did have some family karaoke, but some of them were like late at like 10:30 at night, which is just made me scratch my head a little bit. The kids club was always full. It was very small. They grouped the 5 to 12-year-olds together, which I thought was strange, but they were just all kind of thrown into a room. Now, I will say we were able to get in. We would have to show up 30 minutes beforehand. The timing of them was also a struggle. Compared to Royal, it's normally open from 7 to 9 before you get charged, after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, maybe 7 to 10. This would be open at like 6, which I'm not saying it's a bad time, but like the sequence of events is hard. Like feeding your kids, or if you're wanting to do any main dining before you take your kids to the kids club, you can't do it because main dining is going to take at least an hour and a half. And so when we would go to eat dinner and then try to drop them off, it was always full. So you literally had to show up 30 minutes ahead of time. There was going to be a line out the door to get your kid in. And I mean, my kids had a great time. I don't have any complaints about them enjoying their time in kids club. It just was not a very large kids club to accommodate the amount of kids on this ship. Other things with Norwegian is that, like, from a family friendly, they just did not have enough activities. I was used to Royal, who had parades and there was always some sort of like soccer game. They had cool amenities, but but not. So they had the racetrack, but you have to pay for it. And so you don't go very fast. Not to say that you should go fast on a ship, but we did it once, and the kids were not like, "Ooh, let me go do it." The pool areas were very, very small. There's only one water slide, and it's rarely open. But the sun deck would get so hot that it was like excruciating just to stand up there waiting in line for the slide. However, my kid did love it. They had this little splash pad, which served no really use. Nobody ever used it. The racetrack took up so much space that they could have used for so many different things. They had a tea time. They had mini golf. That was broken the entire time. Things were just not taken care of very well in these areas. I can't say that about the interior of the ship. I didn't notice anything. It was very clean, very well taken care of. But like the tea time was like falling apart. Every time I went, they never had enough balls. They were always out of balls, but it was broken. So like, luckily you get it for free because it's been broken, but it sounds like it's been broken for a year. So like, what is happening? The pool spaces were extremely small, just extremely small. So you only had like 3 pools, 1 larger pool, 2 very small hot tubs, and then you had 2 smaller pools on the 8th floor. Now I did love these infinity areas on the 8th floor. I did really love those areas, but overall it was not enough pool space for a ship that large. And maybe that is biased because my kids absolutely love water, so they're going to be in the pool the whole time. We look for the water slides, we look for things like that. Overall, like I said, we had a great time. We made the best of it. But these are just some things to think of when you're considering which ships to choose. I'm not saying that we would never cruise Norwegian again. Would never say that. But I would at this point choose a different cruise line at this point in my life with my kids, and my kids being this age. Another con would be like the entertainment. There was absolutely no entertainment. They had like a magician. It just was subpar, in my opinion. They're just, come on. But overall, again, we made the best of it. I'm never going to say that I would never cruise again on them. But it was a learning experience, and I cannot say that the Norwegian Prima is a family-friendly ship. So think about that if you're cruising with kids. I will do another video that is solely based on our experiences as parents on the Norwegian Prima. I have videos if you want to see our entire video blog of Norwegian Prima, and then there's also an entire video blog of everything we did when we sailed the exact same itinerary with Royal Caribbean on Harmony of the Seas. So you can compare those two. But if you're a mom like me who always wants to go unprepared and wants to know all the ins and outs of everything, drop a link below, but definitely follow me and hit that like button so that you can see more of our family travels.